Good evening, everyone. If I could have your attention, please. Thank you all very much for being here. I know we've got a lot of folks. I'm not sure if everyone is able to get in the room. We have a lot of student recognitions tonight. So just bear with us as we go through those. I don't know how many are out in the hallway, but we'll get you in here if your student's being recognized. I would like to call to order our Danville Board of Education regular meeting for February 19th, 2018. Thank you again to all that are here this evening. The first item on the agenda is to approve the meeting agenda.
I make a motion to approve of the meeting agenda as submitted.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes. So we will move on to our presentations. The first item on the agenda is the board member comments. Would anybody like to share anything tonight?
We have a lot of good things going on, so
We do.
they'll be here shortly.
Let's get to these recognitions. But first, Dr. Look, if you have any things to share.
Sure. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see us all out this evening. We have yet another weekend we need to rename as Danville Admiral Weekend. We look at the success that we have had on a number of different fronts. For the 14th consecutive year, the Danville High School, 14th consecutive year, the Danville High School academic team has won the Regional Governor's Cup. I don't want to steal all the thunder because I think we've got a number of these folks being recognized this evening, but we do have our Coach Kramer here this evening. It's worth a round of applause for the continued support. Similarly, the Bate Middle School academic team has become the Region 16 Governor's Cup champions. They also won the quick recall tournament, taking first place in language arts a number of times. We've got second place in composition, third place in math, fifth place in math, fifth place in social studies, first place in arts humanities, and a series of other awards, which again, students will be recognized for shortly. We also hosted the Regional Governor's Cup, which the Tolliver quick recall team came in second place. We also won some individual awards there too. First place in language arts, fourth place in math, second place in science. Turning to athletics, Ivy Turner was selected to the 2018 All-Regional Team for basketball. Sticking with that, the junior varsity basketball team won the 12th region tournament. Going back to academics, the Danville High School robotics team qualified for the state high school VEX robotics competition. This was a huge event in Louisville with teams from all over the country that earned enough points to do so. The rest of the team competed this weekend in the state tournament, finished 23rd out of 88 teams, one of their highest finishes on record. Don Harris finished third in the 182-pound weight class. Jared Sutherland became the newest member of the 1,000-point club in basketball. The forensics team was crowned the 2018 KHSSL Bluegrass Regional Champions after competing against schools from 36 counties. We had first place in 7 different speech events. The 7th grade boys basketball team finished second place in the Salt River Conference, and we've had a series of students recognize other ones. And just as we recognize Coach Kramer, we'd like to also recognize Lisa Fisher for being the Athletic Director of the Year, selected from the 12th region, and Joey Salee, Regional 7 Coach of the Year in wrestling. So again, the Danville Schools has been in every corner and every bit of successful. We're proud of every one of our students and families that are able to participate today.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time we will go ahead and move on to those student recognitions. Are we going to start?
Let's start with the high school, because I know that Ms. Ralston's got a number of things going on in her building today.
Hello. Yeah, just 1 second. As Dr. Look said, it's been a great month for the Admirals in the classroom, on the athletic fields, and in the world of arts. And as he said, our academic team did win its 4th straight Regional Governor's Cup and 14th consecutive title in quick recall. That's 12 times in the last 14 years that they have been winners. And they were also the District 46 winners. And I want to take time to recognize these individuals as they put a lot of time and effort in every day after school practicing. They travel on the weekends,
And it's a great group of individuals, and so I wanted to take time to recognize them. So if you'll come forward, please, when I call your name. Eli Gooch.
Haley, I think they're coming.
Hey, Dr. Murray, will you come and help pass these out? Anas Gondal, Saif Siddiqui, Sophie Farmer, that's all Sophie. Elizabeth Joyner, Blake Quinn, Emma Webb, Ben Link, Ethan Scott, Christian Howe, Timmy Oxley, Grace Crawford, Emma Merriman. Some of these guys are practicing in forensics right now, so they couldn't sneak away. And Morgan Best. And I also, don't move. I also want to recognize Coach Kramer. So Coach, if you'll come on up. Not only for the hard work that he puts in, but he was also profiled on the NAQT. That's an online publication, and they did an article on him. And if you haven't got to see that, we posted that on our website. But if you haven't got to see that, please log on and look at that, because you get to see the kids rubbing on his bald head, which he absolutely loves. So if you didn't get to see that, make sure you log on to get to read all about that. So let's give them one more round of applause.
Kids in front.
Sorry, you're such a big group. It's hard to find. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I'd like to ask Miss Dewey. Is Miss Dewey here? No, Miss Dewey's not here, so never mind. In the world of arts, we have a couple people that I'd like to recognize. We have a finalist in the Kentucky Saves Piggy Bank contest, and I'm going to ask that Emily Thomas and Miss Dennett come forward, please. She's in the hallway. Hey, can you guys yell for Emily Thomas?
Emily Thomas? What doing with Thomas?
I can't find them right now. They're somewhere in this pile. Are they here? Emily's piggy bank is on display in the Capitol Rotunda right now, and she's a finalist to be a winner in the Kentucky Saves Piggy Bank contest. And she and Miss Dennett will be going to Frankfurt on March the 1st to be recognized in a special ceremony. So we wanted to take time to recognize both of them and say congratulations. We're very proud of you for your effort. And there were a lot of piggy banks, so to be chosen is a very big deal for her. So congratulations. Don't move. Gotta have a picture.
One, 2, 3. All right, thanks, guys.
All right. Couple more. Needless to say, we've been very busy athletically, continuing to bring home the hardware. And tonight I want to focus on one special group, and that's our wrestlers. And they're just a great group of young men, and I'm so proud of them. And Ms. Fisher's going to make her way up here to help with this. But I can't say enough about this wonderful group of guys, both on the mats and off. As a team, they finished 23rd this weekend, which is the best the team has finished in quite some time. And individually, they represented Danville High School fabulously, and we are so very proud of their efforts. And I want to take just a minute to recognize them. So I'm going to let them come on in, since they're patiently waiting. Come on in, line up right here.
Two rows. Oh, that'd be nice.
So let me tell you, we had two wrestlers. Scoot on down. Everybody wants to see your lovely faces. You too, Coach. All right. Come on. Yeah, come on in. Parents that need pictures, come on. Get to the front. I know you're here. Come on. Come on in. Y'all can squeeze in. Come on. You can get pictures, absolutely. We had two wrestlers that fell one match short of a medal round. So they fell one match short of a medal round, and that was Morgan Salee and Eric Blow. Step forward, raise your hand. We had one wrestler that fell two matches short of a medal round, and that was Spencer Updike. Where's Spencer? Step forward, let us all see your smiling face. Kelby Gay, where's my Kelby? Kelby was there. Kelby had a couple injuries this season, but he had a great showing at state, and we are so proud of him. He is one scrappy dude, let me tell you. I wouldn't want to have to get in the ring with him, but we're very proud of Kelby's efforts. Garen Moody, where's Garen? Listen, Garen has been excited to be here all day. So Garen went 1 and 2, and we're still trying to figure out, right, Coach Lee, what happened on 1. We really think he won, but okay.
Yes.
We're still trying to figure that. But Garen, we're very, very proud of you, young man. And then Pierce Haynes, raise your hand, Pierce. Pierce was an alternate this year at the state, so we're very proud of him. And Dawn Harris, step forward. So Dawn finished 3rd for the state, and I called him a state champ this morning. He looked at me and said, "I'm not a champ," and I said, "Yeah, buddy, you are. You are, definitely." So another reason for Dawn to dance this year. So we let him dance. And not only are we proud of this, but so many on this team qualified for the academic All-State too, and we are extremely proud of that. One more person I want to recognize. Coach Lee, come to the front.
Big guys.
Come up front. Coach Lee was chosen as the Region 7 Coach of the Year this year. So we're very proud of Coach Lee. He puts a lot of time and effort, and we want to say thank you to Officer Broach for the time he puts in, and to his wife and Amber Rowe for the time that they put in as well. And so congratulations, wrestling team. We are so, so proud of you all this year. Congratulations.
Gotta get together. Come kneel down. Yeah, you come up. Go with that way. Windows and doors, windows and doors.
Yes, we're good. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right here. Everybody look right here. Right here. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay.
I'm almost finished. I'm sorry. I told you all it's been an exciting couple of weeks. I have 2 more things to say. One, oh, no. She didn't know I was going to do this, so she's trying to sneak out. I want to recognize Miss Fisher. As Dr. Luke said, she was chosen as the 12th Region AD of the Year. And I can tell you, there's nobody that works harder for Danville High School athletes than Miss Fisher. I'm here a lot, but she's here all the time, day and night, working for our kids. And I just want to say thank you so much. And I think your kids and husband are here to come on in, Fishers. Come on for a picture.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Is Elizabeth Naismith here? Elizabeth, has anybody seen Elizabeth? In the back. Is Elizabeth Naismith in the hallway? By any chance? No? Did y'all see her coming in? Anybody? Okay, we'll catch her next time. Thank you. Sorry I took so long.
You never know.
Oh, Elizabeth's at swim practice. Sorry.
So Ms. Ralston and I are kind of along the same lines with our first recognitions. I first will be recognizing our academic team as well, who were first place Region 16 winners and have advanced to the state competition. And I'll be recognizing any student who had a part in that, whether it be in the district tournament or the region tournament. And if you know, and Coach Carney couldn't be here tonight, so we don't get to recognize him. But if you know Coach Carney, you know that these kids tutor once a week, practice twice a week, and even practice on Fridays for a Saturday tournament. So like they have a tournament this Saturday, they'll practice Friday until what time, Jack? Around about 6 o'clock, 5:30? 6 o'clock, yeah. So they're pretty busy. So they definitely deserve a lot of recognition because they work very, very hard. And if you were lucky enough to be at the region competition, which I'm standing next to the people I was sitting with in that last quick recall match, whoo, it was a doozy, and we were worried there for a minute, but we pulled it out and we won. So without further ado, Abigail Anderson. Kendall Carver. You all don't see her? Matthew Gover. Clay Fisher, he was just in here. Clay Fisher? Come on in, Clay.
But he does right.
That's a good handshake. Naomi Israel, I know she's here, I saw her. Fresh off the soccer field. Alexia Blake. Claire Arnold. Sophia Wilson. Here she is. Congratulations. Ramona Pierce. Kira Pusateri. Evan Sanders. Y'all see Evan? Evan? No Evan? Trinity Welch. Hank Helmers. I see Hank. Grace Haynes. Elena Griffiths. Jack Irwin. Who's going to tell me if everybody's here now that you're up here? You're my watchout back there. Carson Wasdale. I'm going to start moving through these names a little bit. Ethan Stressawilk. Isabella Murray. Congratulations. Didn't see her. Keyshawn Jones. Ava Drake. So you can see, even without the people here that aren't here, that it takes a lot to win this tournament. And Coach Carney, of course, had multiple things he wanted for me to say. But I will say this, he is very impressed with this team, being that they are such a young team, and that they did so amazingly well this year. So. Oh, really?
Move that way. Follow Jack.
It's a picture time. Picture time.
That's right. Claps.
You can go down right next to
Everybody here. 1, 2, 3. Thank you all.
Good job, you guys. Good job. See you, bud.
I feel like I have a theme here. The second group I'm going to recognize also fought their way to, I already see one of them in the back, super hyped that he gets to come up here tonight. Our 7th grade boys basketball team ended up runners-up in the Salt River Conference, which is their tournament that they play in. And they fought in the semifinal round a very hard-fought victory against Boyle County, which we all love. That deserves a round of applause. And then ended up runners-up in the finals game, which was a very tough game for us, but they did an excellent job, and they fought hard on the court. And I think once you see these young men, you'll see that they also are stand-up citizens. I say all the time that I only hope my child can be like these guys. I'm proud of them every day. They're O.M. Barnes. No Owen. No Owen. Jarius Bryant. Ethan Cooper. No. Braylon Dawson. Sage Dawson. It's all Sage. Xavion Gray. And a lot of these young men are new to us this year and have just slid right onto a basketball team and just made themselves a part of the family. Christopher Greer. Sam Matherly. Dryston Turner. Miles Turner. Journey White. Justice Turner. He's the one that was super hyped to be here. And I didn't know if he would be here tonight, but he is. And I can honestly say that a lot of the reason these boys are such a family is because of their coach, DeMarco Pruitt.
Really tight. This way. 1, 2, 3. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you again to all those families that came out. Congratulations to all those students. And we've got some folks that are wanting to head on out, others that are out in the hallway. If we can make room for those that are out there, might be out of seats, but. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, and that is the energy management presentation.
I wanted to give you an update on our energy management. If there's someone, me, I've got to stay these together. Okay, there's 2 pages each. That's actually a copy of the plan that you approved last year. We have worked with, fortunately, KSBA has the SIMP program, which is the School Energy Managers Project. And a lot of the progress we've made over this past year I can attribute to the support from KSBA. Martha Casher and John Nipple have been tremendous assistance and resources for me as I've learned quite a bit about energy management. And the And where did it go? There we go. You can go again. There are four focus items that I want to talk about. The first one being the KSBA SIMP that we're fortunate enough to be a part of. The second one, I want to talk a little bit about some LED lighting that we've been working on. And the third is KU pilot rate. I'll explain that in just a few minutes. And the fourth is centered around HVAC, and that's a big focus for us this year as well. So the first, the School Energy Managers Project, some of the support that they've provided to us is obviously ensuring that we're following the legal requirements of energy management in school district. There are laws and regulations that we have to follow, and a phone call is a quick answer for me to make sure we're doing everything we're supposed to do. I've also received really excellent training on so many different aspects of energy management, and I've been able to add to my energy management staff Malcolm Springs, and he is so knowledgeable as well. So I feel this really building into a good strong program with Malcolm's assistance. When he starts rattling off some of the technical stuff, I nod my head. Don't always know what he's talking about. They, with being a member of this SIMP program, means that we have to track our energy usage, our data, and analyze what we're doing and where we need to improve. It really connects well with our Train Intelligence Services program that we're also involved with. And between the two, we've gotten a really good grip on most of our buildings. The reports that, and I'll show you an example of it later, the reports that we actually put together they go to the General Assembly, and then they are recorded, they go to KU, and that data is used to continue to fund this program, as well as provide the resources for support whenever there's a possible rate increase. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes too. So, you want to flip to the next one? The EUI is how KSBA, the SIMP program, and Energy Star programs determine the energy usage in a building, a commercial building, schools being one of those. So it's expressed as the energy per square foot per year. It's calculated by dividing the total energy consumed by the building in 1 year, and it's measured in kBTU. BTU is the British thermal unit. K means 1,000 of them. And it goes with the gross square footage of the building. So, John Nipple was kind enough to explain this BTU to me in a way that I could understand. He said 1 BTU is like a strike of a match. That's the energy in 1 BTU. And so kBTU is how many matches? Don't look, because I know you already know. 1,000 matches. That's a kBTU. 56 kBTUs is the state average for how much energy is required per square foot in any building. That's 56,000 matches. It's like a floor tile. Kind of put it into perspective for you. And he's nodding. He already knows this. So in 2016, Danville School's kBTU was 20,660,393. It's $1.46 a time for each square foot, one floor tile. Our EUI in 2016 was 61.7, I think, 61.17, something like that. That was Danville School's Energy Utilization Index. 2010, we were 64.6. 2017, we were 48.8. That is amazing. I got an email from John Nipple when the day before the numbers came out, really patting our back for, that's amazing. Not the best in the state, unfortunately. Another county beat us in the 39, something like that. They must not go to school. So Reducing our EUI to around 50 is a $90,000 savings a year. We'll come back to that number in a minute. All right, so at the same time, looking at the data, Danville High School is an Energy Star school. And you all, we rewarded them, trained, came. I fully expect Tolliver to be an Energy Star school. When Hogsett is finished, I expect Hogsett to be an Energy Star school. And that leaves this high school, and we're working on it now. And I'll share some of that with you in just a few minutes as well. It's interesting to see how energy is used in a building. So 50% of the energy in the building is HVAC, air conditioning, heating, ventilation. 30% is lighting. Makes you want to turn one set off. 30% is lighting. 20% is other, which includes kitchen equipment, teacher and personal appliances, computers, refrigerator in the teacher workroom, copiers, hot water. That actually goes with, I think, HVAC with heating, doesn't it? We don't know. So, you can go to the next slide. I'm still learning lots of things. So, with that 50% of HVAC, here's what we're focusing on. We have focused on demand cost avoidance, which is what we're doing at the high school with the intelligence services with training. They come quarterly, and they'll meet with me and Corey Edwards, usually our maintenance HVAC technician, and they'll have a document that I have a copy for you. That's why I brought him.
That's right.
This is what we get, and this is just 2 pages of it. I wish I had really actually copied the one I've written notes on. I can email back. This actually tells us over the year what percentage of energy costs we avoided with some of the steps that we've put in. So if you notice in that year's time, we saved $11,000. Some of the things that we did to save that money was reset some demand set points, which meant if a unoccupied area was set at 70, we set it at 69 in the winter, 72 in the summer. So we moved our set points a little bit, just a little, and it resulted in over $10,000 in savings. So the last time I met them, when they brought me this, we adjusted those set points again, and we've had no complaints. So I'm thinking no one's noticed, because that was what I wrote on my notes. We'll set it to this until someone complains. So don't tell anyone that set points have been changed again.
And is that across the board at all the schools?
No.
The set points?
No, ma'am. It is only at the high school.
Just at the high school.
The actual intelligence services and the focus of that performance contract is at the high school. When they come and visit with me, it's only high school data. They don't track the elementary schools. But as a result of those meetings, I've come to realize what I need to do at the other schools. And so this past summer, one hallway, if the custodians weren't working, the air was off, the lights were off, or the air was at the set point. At Hogsett, each individual room has a thermostat. And so, we ask at the end of the day, set it to a set point. I don't know if that always happens, possibly not, but maybe. And everyone has different tolerances for temperature. And everyone is also jealous that I just said Hogsett can control their own temperature in their classroom. Or the Tolliver people coming up here at speak. Okay. Moving on. So we've also, with the trained building controls, what I just said, at the other schools, learning to, when we're on a break, Christmas break, holiday break, spring break, we're setting those points at all the schools, especially the gym in the buildings. So it's just a conscious effort now. And Corey is really on board with this as well. Since he's been meeting with them, he's conscious of it as well. It makes it really nice. We have a new HVAC system at Tolliver, so we'll see how energy efficient it is if we can get it to work, right, Ed? Yeah. Hogsett, once the renovation's over, will be new as well. And the Bate Middle School, we're going to be a meeting tomorrow with the architect and the engineer, not the architect, just the engineer regarding getting started on that. The BG1 is ready to go. For lighting, this is probably the most exciting project we have going right now because of the instant reward you get. Did any of you notice when you came into high school? The entire foyer, the front foyer, is now LED lighting. It is so bright. Haley's had them, you know, you can really see. Where'd she go? Is she in here? It looks really good, and we actually use fewer fixtures. The LED lights will, you can take out some fixtures. We did actual fixture replacement with, we're going to do that in the hallways and the foyer, but in the classrooms we're going to do a retrofit with forest bulbs that you can just put them in, and when the ballast goes out, you just go back and wire that in. It's recommended by Jim McClanahan, who is the KSBA SIMP guru, and so I've picked his brain quite a bit. So we're doing a combination of retrofit and replacing fixtures. And I'm also going to let Malcolm talk here about Gravely Hall and LED lighting.
Can I just sit here and talk?
Sure.
I think I'm loud enough I can talk. Gravely Hall has different demands than the hallways do and other lights because we have to have dimmable lights. So we had a number of contractors come in and make some suggestions, and we have found one that we're going to replace with LED lighting down there. It actually increases the light by 5 times. We have 5 times the foot candles that we used to, and it decreases the cost by 6 times. So we actually have a combination of 300, 400, and 500 watt light bulbs that are up there. We're replacing those with 49 watt light fixtures so that it reduces that cost, and it's bright. And they're dimmable, so it actually can dim. It's on a different curve than a regular incandescent light, but still dimmable. Is there anything else you need to add to that? That's going to happen in about a month.
Because we have them, right?
We don't have them yet.
We have more of them.
But they're getting ready to happen.
And the new projector is also more energy efficient.
That's exactly right. It is a laser projector, and it uses like no energy at all, and it's much brighter, and it covers the entire back wall.
It's fantastic. Okay. Oh, there you are. So here's what we have completed so far. We've replaced T8 fluorescent bulbs in the first floor hallway, that bottom floor hallway at Bate. We have replaced T8 fluorescent bulbs in the music room and in one of the classrooms at Bate. Those were our test areas. We have replaced the exterior fluorescent lighting with LED around the outside of Bate. We still lack a couple, but we've tackled Bate because that's one of our biggest energy hogs because of it being an aged building and nothing's been done yet. What we're upcoming at Bate, retrofit all the classrooms with those Forest T8 fluorescent bulbs that are LED, replace the hallway fluorescents with LED fixtures. All right, at the high school, we've replaced T8 fluorescent bulbs in the foyer with LED fixtures. The old gym, I just found this out today. I was talking with the maintenance guys and they said, oh yeah, we put LED in the weight room with the old gym and the shower and the locker room. I didn't even know they'd done it. So they're on it. And this is another thing. Corey Edwards has done a lot of research on this, and he's very, very interested in it, and he can do it himself. Well, actually, he stands on the floor, makes Kenny Grubbs do all the work, but he just directs him. But they really have bought into it. It's great to see. They believe in it too. And so we are still going to, like the same at Bate, we're going to retrofit the hallways, the classrooms, the library, the cafeteria, as we go down the line. Remember that $90,000. So we'll take our savings and put it right back into earning more savings, energy-wise. You heard that, Pauline. And in here, you'll flip. You probably can't see that very well, but I've got a copy of the PowerPoint I can give you. But there's a picture of Bate at the front with the new LED light and the old fluorescents. And then we also have the other exterior down here at the bottom. That's the music classroom at Bate, and that's the downstairs hallway. I wish I had a picture of half and half, It was amazing this summer when they did half of it, and you could stand right at the half and look both ways. It's just amazing at how bright that hall is, and it's fewer fixtures than before. Okay? And there's the, you can flip it there, Teresa. There's the foyer, and that has 3 fewer fixtures as well. And it's also in front of the office. Okay. The next thing I wanted to touch base with you guys about is the KU pilot rate. Through KSBA and SIMP, KSBA went to bat for the schools when KU wanted to raise the rates. And so there was almost a case in the courts. But KU, well, the other energy companies as well, decided on a settlement where schools were given a school rate. Every district can have a school get a school rate. When they did that, everything finished, there was still money left. And so we were lucky enough to get 3 of our accounts on the pilot rate. And so you can see, well, you might not be able to see. I'll just tell you. We have 2 from the high school. There will be a savings of almost $9,000. Is that true, Paul? I can't add that. Yeah, thank you. The Danville Bait account is almost $6,000 in savings. So it's a total of $10,497 in savings. Just for that pilot rate through KSBA and the SIM, through their efforts. So it's about $100,000 now I'm counting over here to put back into some of the things that we want to do. Okay. Here's some of the things that we've done in relation to HVAC, heating, air, ventilation. The security vestibules that we've put in have helped tremendously with air intake coming in, cold air coming into the building, because there's a second door that stops that. We have new energy efficient windows in Swain gym, the old gym. They're finishing up the sides, so all of those windows will be energy efficient when we're finished with that. We obviously have new HVAC at Tolliver, upcoming HVAC at Bait, and building controls, which means that we want end user building controls over the whole district by the time we're finished. 90,000 over here, right? How many times have I spent it? That means that it will be through the internet, Corey's at home, for principals to be trained to where we need air in this room. You know, and I'm yanking the cover off of the unit over here to get the little light switch flipped on and calling Corey saying, hey, take it down a degree or 2 from now. He could do that from home because this is the high school, but some of them he can't do from home. So building control with it unified over the whole district, and that those building controls then can help us with energy management. It will give us the data that we need, that we get from training right now, but we can't necessarily get ourselves. You can go ahead. I wanted to let Malcolm talk again a little bit about our energy planning for the district to bring in schools and staff and students.
We really need to start the staff. We need to have a leader on the staff that is like the energy management leader for that school. So it's a buy-in at the local level, so that we can start turning off lights and eliminating personal appliances and just doing the general kind of stuff like that. If we did that, it would be possible for us to have a cost avoidance of about $5,000 a year per school. So that's extra money.
There you go. That's the other, that 20%, it's turning lights off, coffee pots, refrigerators, all those. So part of what we've talked to
right. Is to eliminate those type of things. Although there's problems with that go along with other things that I'm not privy to. But those things can be addressed and solved. So it's a way of having more cost avoidance per school.
And we've worked with, already started to begin conversations with high school administration
yes.
about if, you know, we need to provide a place for teachers that's localized to their classrooms and provide a refrigerator that's energy efficient, as opposed to everybody having their own in their room, if that would work.
Right.
And microwave or whatever, there needs to be an area for them. They don't have that here. So, something to talk about there. The data. I wanted you to take a look at the data that I put together for, here's that one. This is what KSBA SIMP requires. Every quarter, I send our utility data into them. It feeds into a yearly program, and here you go, Madam President. All I'm giving you is one school, and then the district summary of last year. So the KU electric bill, the kilowatts, the demand, the cost, the temperature of the day, all of that goes into a database. And then at the end of the year, you've got a spreadsheet that has all of that information. Does the same thing for gas, the same thing for water. We have a number of accounts, from the buildings to the lights in the parking lot.
19.
Malcolm's County. And those are unmetered, which means it's a different rate and not always good. But when they're LED, it will be very cost efficient for us. And I can send that entire spreadsheet to you digitally as well, so that you can manipulate and see each school, each account from last year.
It's about 20 spreadsheet, but it goes deep.
That's okay, we're used to homework.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Travis, you'll have a great job.
Yeah.
I was saying, at KSBA, the conferences, the schools that are Energy Star and everything always get a special little thing we get to wear on our badges. So we're
You should
hoping
have that. That's right. You should get a real special one for having an EUI for the district
Yeah.
at 49 as opposed to 64.
So next year, will the Jenny Rogers, when Jenny Rogers is central office, will that, it doesn't factor into our?
Central office is in there. No, it's not.
Okay.
It isn't. You're right. That's the difference in that cost. Just realize when you said that I had too much cost, and that's why I added central office to it, but it does not. It's only the school lease.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda is the personnel notifications. You all have those attached. If there aren't any questions. Any questions? Again, this is just information purposes only. All right, then we will move on to the minutes of the previous meeting.
I make a motion for the approval of the January 8th and January 22nd meeting minutes.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes. Then moving on to reports. The first item is going to be the 2017-18 calendar revisions. Mr. McKinney.
So today was a makeup day. Friday was a makeup day. We missed 5 total, 4 due to weather and 1 due to illness. And so we have 3 additional days to make up. On the calendar, we designated March 22nd and 23rd as the next 2 days on the calendar. So my recommendation is we take those 2 days, the 22nd and 23rd. It's unfortunate we have to do that, but we're kind of running out of options. So those are the next 2 days. That will leave us 1 day that's inside the calendar that can be a makeup day. And if we do that, that'll keep closing date, or that'll keep the last day for students on May 24th, which won't be changed.
And there's still a possibility of bank day.
We're going to use 1 bank day, and we're allowed to take 1 bank day, but let me back up. I'm recommending we take a bank day. You all are free to make a choice on that, but we're only allowed to take 1. And bank time, as you all know, is the extra time that's built in our daily schedule. So the state says we have to be in session 1,062 hours, but we also have to be in 170 instructional days. So we're over the 1,062 hour requirement. So we're allowed to drop to 170 and still stay within the calendar requirements. Right now we have 171 instructional days. So we have 3 days to make up. Our recommendation is to take one as bank time and take March 22nd, 23rd as the 2 additional days, and hopefully we won't miss any more.
I make a motion to approve to designate March 22nd and March 23rd as makeup instructional days, plus a bank day.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments, questions for Mr. McKinney? Discussion, obviously, kind of hard to do. Don't like taking the days, but at the same time, yeah.
Unless we want to think about using the days after Memorial Day, and that's never really a popular option either.
Okay.
Really not.
Okay.
That will make, staff will have to make up a professional day. That 22nd, 23rd in our schedule is a planning day and a professional day. Those days will have to be tacked onto the end of the calendar to get the 187-day teacher contract requirement. And so that would be, right now we'd put closing day at the end of that. So Friday, March 25th would be a planning day. Tuesday the 29th after Memorial Day would be a professional development day. Some of our teachers will already have that in, and then closing day will be on Wednesday, May 30th. And then if those teachers, usually what we do with those teachers have got their professional development hours in, they can close out the day before.
All right, if there's enough further discussion on that, all those in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. McKinney. All right, Mr. Dean, we'll move on to the finance report, which is the financial statement.
Okay, you should have a copy of the financial statement for January 2018. Beginning at the top, our opening balance at the beginning of the month was $10,019,000 and some change. During the month of January, we took in receipts of $1,635,000 and change. Accounts payable or claims that we paid out during the month of January were $751,000. Our payroll expenditures totaled $1,284,000 and some change. So altogether, the total expenditures were $2,035,000. Leaving us with a balance at the end of January of $9,619,892.49. The next section shows a reconciliation from the bank balance at the end of the month, $9.918 million, with the outstanding deposits, checks, and one slight adjustment to the bank balance, giving us the same ending balance. And then midway through the page, you'll see how the balance is broken down by the various funds that we maintain, from the general fund with a balance of $7.318 million down through the end, and food service has a balance of almost $126,000. As I pointed out in the working session, I'll reiterate this. You'll see the special revenue with a negative balance there. It's just because our federal cash request had not come in at the end of the month. It would have been about $285,000 added on to that, which showed up in February, so it'll balance out then. You can see the other various funds there, and they total the $9.619 million. Also, the assigned maintenance, you'll see it has a balance right now, $442,000, down from the $1 million that we had assigned earlier in the year. Some of those funds have already been transferred to the construction fund or into the budget to cover some of the things that we had talked about earlier, as far as the columns and facade at Tolliver and the construction, and then some of the other maintenance projects that we're doing, like the Gravely Hall project and some other things that we talked about in the working session. At the bottom of the page, you'll see a summary of the investment account. During the month of January, which we'll get to here in the bill section in just a minute, was $129,000. We've already paid February, and you can see the total for draw number 22 is $245,000. So as we sit right now, there is we've spent a total of $12,708,000 of the CD that we had set aside for the construction of the Tolliver project, and we have a current balance right now of just a little over $1.5 million for remaining expenditures, which looks like should be finished by about May, according to what they're telling us right now. We've also earned interest on the CD for the life of the project of just a little over $110,000, which has gone back into that project. Second page in your finance report is a Fund 1 or general fund summary of receipts. You'll see the first column is amount that we've received this month, total all the way from general property taxes, our PSC property taxes, SEEK program, all of the different things you can see down through there. You'll notice sale of land and improvements at $22,500 where we sold the parcel of land to the city of Danville, and that amount was received during the month of January. Second column is a year-to-date. And then from that, you see the budget, and you can extrapolate the available budget and the percent that's received. And then there is a last year to date where we can kind of look at it and see where we compared in receipts to what we had last year. And then finally, the same thing, general fund, it's an expenditure summary by function, all the way from instruction down. You'll see what we expended during the month of January, what our year-to-date is, and compare that to the budget, and also the last year-to-date numbers. And then down at the bottom, you'll see that the total general fund cash balance was $7.9 million. Of that, we have $200,000 set aside for sick leave escrow, and then the $442,000 for maintenance, leaving us with a cash where we can spend of $7,318,870.57. Questions?
I make a motion for the approval of the financial report as submitted.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes, and we will move on to the payment of invoices.
The total invoices paid out, the accounts payable for the month of January, as we stated on the first page, was $751,020.66. Of that amount, we paid out $129,000 and some change for the Tolliver construction and renovation project. We spent $3,250 for the Hogsett project for a utility survey. And then also coming out of that was the final payments for the high school and the John W. Bate Middle School roofing projects that we had had going during the year, $122,565.44. Also during the month, we had debt service payments to U.S. Bank of $161,266.73, and then a small KISTA bond principal and interest payment of $724. So once you take those particular items out of the $751,000, that leaves just a little over $333,000 that we use for monthly expenditures for instructional supplies, repairs and maintenance, utilities, food service, diesel, fuel, other routine items that are necessary to operate the school district. And then also included on the working session, we went through some items of listed out a few things that were of particular interest you might want to know. If you got any questions on those, you feel free to ask me about it.
I make a motion for the approval of the payment of invoices totaling $751,020.66 as presented.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the two-year elementary school transition support.
As we continue to assemble all the different moving pieces of moving from 3 elementary schools to 2, we are planning for every possible scenario we can think of, but we also know that in a transition there will be things that we haven't thought of, or things that we need to build from scratch, or things that we need to reinvent as each school establishes its own identity. In trying to proactively plan for the kind of time that will be necessary on staff's part to make sure all of those pieces work, already folks have jobs, and those jobs we've already designated for the amount of time that it takes. there's going to be a series of extra hours and extra days that are going to be necessary just to make sure all the puzzle pieces fit. We want the transitions for our families and students to be as easy as possible. And we know that things are going to come up. So what we'd like to be able to do is allocate to each school for 2 consecutive years an additional 30 days equivalent to be used for the principal to determine as needs arise. So if it turns out in July that we need 3 people to come in and help take care of bulletin boards that just got installed last minute, or if there are student handbooks that need to be written, or if there are other items that simply just have to be redone, they're going to need a block of time to do that. So what I'm looking for is about 30 days for each of the 2 schools for 2 consecutive years, which in rough cost is about $5,000 a year.
I know this was something obviously that was brought to our attention at the work session. I don't know if anybody really has any other question. We could let's make a motion if there is further questions. I make a motion for the approval of an additional 30 days for the 2018-19, 2019-20 school years for each elementary school to be used at the principal's discretion to help with transition.
Second.
Again, any other thoughts, questions for Dr. Look? This is something that we did talk in length about at the work session. Again, just hoping that it's going to add a little bit for the principals to have that extra help during the transition time as needed. So, Paul, are you comfortable with this? All right. If there are no further questions, all those in favor? All right, and that motion passes. All right, moving on to the next item, which is the Title II incentive program.
I'll be brief with this. Back when I was hired last summer, I actually approached Dr. Lowe pretty quickly about using some Title II money. We had already received our allocation for 17-18, and just to be thinking about how do we incentivize classroom teachers to become both national board certified and also for mainly the high school, but to have opportunities for our high school students to earn dual credit. SACS accreditation requires that secondary teachers have at least 18 hours or above in a 500 or level class in their subject to be able to teach college classes. And that's towards a master's or higher degree. And so after looking into it deeper, and I had Olivia even call the state and get closer to that, we looked at Title II monies. There's even a line item as a suggestion for that. So over the last few months, in the midst of everything else we have going on, he and I got closer to maybe bringing that to fruition in form of a discussion for the board now. And then once we, like a better term, design what that's going to look like, we will bring it back to the board for approval. We are looking at about $6,500 to be used in a form of a tuition reimbursement for those teachers, again, who are either going to pursue national board or a dual credit master's or higher degree. The latter will not necessarily require a degree as long as you have the 18 hours of classes in the 500 level or above coursework. And that would be in the core classes where we'd be able to offer the dual credit. And that being the same as arts, math, science, and social studies. So that is just simply the idea that we're floating. It's for discussion right now with you all and any questions you may have. Like I said, we're not close to putting on paper and bringing in what's going to look like. What must you do to receive your money back? We're not there yet, but we want the idea to be out there before we do bring it back. We're looking at maybe just some numbers he and I talked about $3,500 for the dual credit part and about $3,000 put into a fund for the National Board certified teachers who are pursuing that. I'm also...
What does the SAC accreditation stand for?
SACS is the Southern Association of Colleges and schools, I think. In Kentucky, high schools are a little bit different now. We are certified through what is called Advanced Ed, which is formerly known as SACS. I think, if people in higher ed here, I'm pretty sure they are still under SACS, but I can't speak to that for higher ed, but it used to be SACS accreditation for both high school and colleges. Colleges is what we're referring to in terms of they require, you know, most teachers have a master's degree. I can't teach a college class because I don't have the 15 hours or above. Now, they do allow a doctorate. If you have an EDD or a PhD or other doctorate levels in psychology or other things, you can do that. But if you have a master's level advanced degree, they require 6 of those classes to be a 500 level subject or above. So math 515, English, you know, 570, and
So you're talking about the additional tuition reimbursement on top of, what are they getting currently if they were to go and be national board certified?
This is, so essentially if you become national board certified, our salary schedule pays up a $25 bonus for every year, forever. This is about financing. We're investing in our teachers to get that credential. These are folks who are currently in our district who have not earned national boards, are not eligible to teach a dual credit class. So as you know, we've had some issues with dual credit. So let's grow our own. The national board certification is an endorsement that we find to have a guarantee on the quality of instruction in every classroom. So let's grow our own. This helps fund it.
I will throw this out there, not as a motivation for you or an underhanded request, but there are some districts across the state through my work with KSA that boards within their own local general fund money, Fund 1 money, they offer that as well as an incentive, you know, as dangling that carrot for teachers to get a master's in mathematics versus a master's in education, or get a master's in language arts versus a master's in education. So if this board feels that, you know, this is something that we are very interested in, then that would be something I would think we could look at in the future, along with our Title II money that we look at and control and divvy out, that if it becomes popular something for teachers, then it could be something that the board could in the future look at. Or could we have maybe some monies to set aside for that? That's just a thought that you all for discussion maybe in the future. So.
Do we currently have anyone that's that's dual certified currently?
For dual credit?
For dual credit, yeah.
We have one person in the district eligible for dual credit
Right
instruction.
now. Okay.
I think it's worth exploring. I think investing in our teachers and their continued education is a great thing.
As a former building principal, I always highly encourage that. I mean, use that term in quotes. My new teachers that I hired, you get your master's anyway, okay? If you want to help yourself out in the future as well as helping your students out currently, get your master's, or at least get your 18 hours in your subject, because then you retire, you can go to most community colleges and even some other college universities may hire you to teach an online course or summer course with that upper level degree. And it's a motivation. You to get it anyway, and this opportunity for them to get it in something that will help our students immediately. And
Great, thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is the Striving Readers, the grant review.
So I'll explain to you this opportunity. The Striving Readers Grant is something that has recently come available. It's money that grants that were available the district had a number of years ago. 2005 was the last year that we were Striving Readers. And the grant process this time around is radically different from that one if anybody has. So if you've got past experience, I'd like for you to listen with new ears. If you have no experience, then you're set. The Striving Readers Grant is looking for districts to develop literacy capacity from ages 0 to 12. Let me rephrase that, grades 0 to 12. This is the first grant that actually is prioritizing literacy development in children before they hit kindergarten. We are eligible, for example, for up to $500,000 in this grant over a 2-year span. 90,000 of that must be spent on children before kindergarten. So this is a radically different approach. The grant is radically different in a number of other ways. Most grants are about filling holes. You show that you're weak in an area, here's money, go buy stuff, fill the hole. This is first awarding the grant based upon capacity already established in the district. Money is designed to reward those districts that have prioritized literacy development, and Danville Schools has done so through lots of different ways, which we'd like to be able to show in the grant. We are demonstrating to earn the grant that capacity. So the grant deadline submission is March 2nd. We find out if we have the money April 9th. Then the grant folks in the state work with us to develop our literacy plan collaboratively, which is due June 15th. So you're getting rewarded, you're being invested in because you have shown commitment and capacity to be able to see literacy development through from ages 0 through seniors in high school. Once you're noted for that, the money comes in, and then through collaborative efforts with partners, both local and state and national, we work on a literacy plan collectively to then implement the next 2 years. The grant can only fund half of one instructional position. So it's not like you can go buy a bunch of teachers, and then in 2 years that's gone, and you think, well, okay, do literacy more. It's very much about developing the capacity of the people within the district to be able to service children from birth to graduation across disciplines in their literacy skills. So what I'm looking for this evening is approval from the board to pursue the grant. I should say we have partners on board. We are required from our size to have at least 5 partners. That's not been a problem. We had a meeting earlier today with our literacy team. So folks like United Way, Boyle County Public Library, our preschool will count as a partner, our Frisky will count as a partner because those are not in the school setting by traditionally defined within KDE definition. So both folks we're used to working with and folks we're bringing on board, all of whom have been committed to literacy in Danville for quite some time, therefore allows us to put together an intentional team around an intentional effort with some additional resources for the next couple of years.
Sounds great. This isn't something that's on the chopping block, is it?
No.
Okay.
No, this is real no matter what. It's federal dollars. Federal grants are 3-year grants. So this first year, their grant cycle starts October 1. So the money has been at the state since October 1, which is their planning side for the state. Then schools are funded for the next 2 years. That's how you get the total of 3.
Well, I make a motion for the approval of the intent to apply for the Striving Readers Comprehensive Literacy Grant as submitted. Second.
I don't know that I have to do this, but all those in favor? All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Obviously, it's a long list, but most of those, actually, I think almost everything was discussed in the work session. So I'll take a motion at this point.
I make a motion that we approve all consent items as presented without discussion.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes. All right. At this point in the agenda, we have reserved for the public. I have a list here, if you all will bear with me. For those that want to address the board, I have your name. If you are still so inclined, if you would please, when I call your name, to come up to the table here. We do have we ask that you please keep your comments to 3 minutes so that we can keep our meeting moving. The first person on the list is Amanda Addison.
I'm going to start by introducing myself. I know Troy. I taught his children, and I've seen Steve at school, but I have not ever met or seen you ladies before, except for the last board meeting. My name is Amanda Addison, and I've been teaching in the Danville School District for 18 years. I spent my first 16 years of teaching at Hogsett in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, and this is my 2nd year teaching at Jenny Rogers in science. I have a 9-year-old who attends Jenny Rogers and a 15-year-old who attends Danville High School, even though I do not live in this district. I chose for my children to attend the Danville School District, even though I do not live here. That is how much I believe in this district. I do not have time to be here with you this evening. I have kids with homework and sports, a husband who works up to 60 hours a week on second shift, whom I never get to see, a farm with animals, and another business to run. By being here tonight, I am neglecting all of these things in my life that are most important to me. That is how much I believe in my superintendent. I am publicly speaking tonight in favor of Dr. Look and representing many staff members who could not be with us this evening. Dr. Look is the third superintendent that I have worked for since beginning my teaching career in 2000. He is regularly visible in all of the schools in the district and does so in a non-threatening manner. Non-threatening, I do have to emphasize that. He visits regularly, jumping in and helping out where needed. I have witnessed him serving food in the cafeteria, shoveling snow, assisting with bus and car rider duties, attending sporting and academic events, as well as after-school activities. Dr. Look also attends staff meetings where he welcomes discussions and answers questions. He has also served as a leader in the schools when principals had to be out due to emergencies. He does not hesitate to help out, even if it means sweeping and cleaning up. For the first time in a long time, Danville High School was recognized as a distinguished school, and Bate was not far behind. 4 out of the 5 schools saw improvement in their test scores from the previous school year. Data specifically shows that we are trending in the right direction, which makes the issue at hand an even more difficult pill to swallow. Dr. Look believes in this school district so much that he chooses to send his children there. I have the pleasure of teaching his oldest, Leotis, who is an exceptional student both academically and personally. I believe that this speaks volumes about the morals and values that he passes down to his children. Employees value employers that are real. They do not become any more real than Dr. Look. Dr. Look believes in this district, each individual staff member, parent, and student. All means all isn't just a catchphrase. It means we teach all students, not a select group, to be successful, and to him, test scores are not the sole measure of success. Good teachers will tell you that their main goal is to create an environment and a culture where students are supported and loved, not to teach to the test. It's been refreshing to have a superintendent who shares the same vision. He knows how important innovation is, but also understands that achievement means multiple things and comes in a variety of forms. Dr. Look allows teachers to participate in leadership roles across the district. He created the Strategic Planning Committee in January of 2016 with a goal to bring vision and direction to the district. He invited a wide range of staff members to serve on the committee, giving each school a voice and helping to create a district-wide plan and goals for the future. Then, to everyone's surprise, the board abruptly dissolved the committee with no specific reason. I have to admit that I'm concerned that I work in a district where my opinion, nor the opinion of any of my colleagues, has been sought, as decisions are being made regarding our superintendent's future. No one, at any time, in either school I've taught at in the last 4 years, has ever asked me what I thought about my superintendent. I'm disappointed that with good evaluations and a major milestone on the horizon, that this is what we are focusing our efforts on. My hopes are that the board will listen to the teachers, the ones who are on the front lines each and every day, working to mold productive members and leaders of our future society. We are the ones that truly know what such a task entails and the support that is required to do so. Support that is needed now more than ever as we embark on the final phases of our consolidation process. In the words of Danielle Dampier, who could not be with us this evening, they'd be neglectful if they didn't renew the contract. There are way too many changes taking place in the district. The last thing they need is to not only ruin morale, but to have a new leader come in to try to help iron out the kinks in the changes. Hopefully, they are smarter than that. In conclusion, I will say that my husband is an officer of the law. In our family, we believe in right versus wrong and justice. Voting to terminate Dr. Look's contract is not justice. Comparing our schools with those in other districts is not justice. It is justice if you are comparing apples to oranges. We need Dr. Look's continued support now more than ever. After the many years of service and dedication I have given to this district, I hope to see the same favor returned. Thank you for your time. We all lift as we climb.
list is Mary Neal.
Well, I also would like to introduce myself. I am Mary Neal, and I am the FMD teacher at Hogsett. For those of you that don't know what my classroom is, I work with kids that are in kindergarten and first grade that have the most significant disabilities. And being an FMD teacher has a lot of challenges. One of those being that because I serve such a small population, my class can be easily forgotten. And I don't know a ton about Dr. Luck, but I know that even with everything else he carries, he still makes my classroom and my students a priority. Dr. Luck does not discount my students because they have disabilities, because they may communicate differently, or because they have low test scores. He truly values and cares about my students as people with potential, as people with value. He has been there to welcome them to new school years, to help them get off the bus, to serve them breakfast. He's been one of their biggest advocates in making sure that the new buildings have tools to make them successful. And in that, he's making my forgotten students, my forgotten classroom, my invisible students, he's making them seen. And that is not forgotten. That means a lot. So, thank you.
All right, Mr. Ball.
Good evening. I'm representing the Danville High School Alumni Association, and very simply put, Dr. Luck is a listener. He's listened to some of the things that we had was very much important to us, and it worked. I'm a licensed aircraft mechanic, and one thing I learned over the years, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Renew without question. If you look at the student recognitions that have gone on in this district, that's all because we had a leader who led, not in word, but also in deed and with his actions. So let's continue to move forward with the renewal.
Leo.
I'm here this evening to share my support for Dr. Luck and encourage the board to renew his contract for an additional 2 years. I feel that I have a unique perspective. While I'm relatively new to the district, over my 28 years of service to public schools, I've had many opportunities to work closely with other superintendents from the 4 districts in which I've worked. I've served on 5 different superintendent advisory councils, and in my last district was elected by my peers to serve on the superintendent search committee, which was a very interesting 7-month-long process. Having said all that, it brings me to the last 3.5 years and my work specifically with Keith Luck. I've seen how he interacts in the school setting, in public, with children and adults, and in smaller behind-the-scene meetings. The one common factor in each of those settings is that he is always driven by what is best for students and the district. He is here to help support families and faculty and staff as well. When Dr. Luck first came to the district, there were a lot of unanswered questions, particularly with what it meant to be a district of innovation. He helped navigate the schools through the uncertainty of it all and helped to make sure that we didn't stray from teaching to the standards. The middle school and high school are making substantial and impressive academic growth, and we are getting ready to embark on a massive redesign of our pre-K through 5th grade. In this time of growth and change, we need some continuity. While we all have areas of professional growth, I would expect that this board would extend to Dr. Luck the courtesy of providing feedback and specific areas of concern, and the time to work towards correcting those growth areas. The best growth for each of us comes from the setting of common goals and fostering an environment of mutual trust. I stand with Keith Look, and I'd like to invite everyone in the audience to support him to stand at this time as well. I am unsure what will motivate you when it comes to voting one way or the other on his contract renewal. But as elected servants, I would hope that you will continue to make choices that represent the voices of all the people. Danville Independent School District is trending in the right direction. We need to build upon a foundation based on our tradition of excellence, the setting of goals, and our vision for the great things the future holds for Danville schools. I know that I am proud of what we have accomplished in the last 3.5 years. Please consider renewing Dr. Look's contract. Thank you.
All right, the next name that I have on the list is Jennifer, and I apologize, I cannot read your last name. I'm sorry. No, thank you.
My name is Jennifer Pusateri, and it is as bad as it sounds. My husband, Reverend Joey Pusateri, and I moved to Danville this summer with our 2 daughters. We knew last February that we would be moving to Danville, so we set up a meeting with Dr. Look last spring. We had some pretty pointed questions to ask him about. We came armed with data, and we wanted to know about gifted and talented programming, why the district didn't have a full-time gifted and talented teacher, and what were the plans to move toward that. We wanted to know what the district's plan was to increase the percentage of teachers of color to more closely align with the school's student population. He answered all of our questions with patience and care. We left, and I didn't think anything would happen. In my work, I encounter a lot of superintendents, and they're very good at promising change, but not so good at follow-through. We obviously chose Danville schools. I have a 4th grader at Tolliver and a 7th grader at Bate. Both are on the academic team and both won first place in their respective grade levels for arts and humanities category. In fact, my 7th grader's score on the district exam gave her the top arts and humanities score in the state, #mommybrag. We ran into Dr. Look at a fundraiser event this summer, and not only did he remember our names, he was delighted to tell us that he had just hired a full-time gifted and talented teacher. It was about this time that I added Danville Schools, Bate, Tolliver, and Dr. Look on Twitter. Soon I saw Dr. Look tweeting from a boys' soccer game, then a girls' soccer game, then a football game, then he showed up at academic team meets for both of my children's schools. This is not typical superintendent behavior. In our previous district, I don't recall seeing the superintendent at any events, ever. What I see now within Danville Schools is a superintendent who is investing in the community. In education, leadership is so important. A district leader can make or break the whole system. So far, in just 6 months, I've seen a district that puts the community first. In the current national education landscape where students are literally shooting their own classmates, I can't think of anything more important than fostering a strong community within our schools. Dr. Look has led this district from a place of turmoil and constant transition to a thriving school community with strong, consistent school leaders in every building. We could have moved anywhere within a 30-mile radius. We chose Danville Schools because we like the rigorous curriculum and the instruction. We like the diversity, and we like the sense of community. My family and I fully support keeping Dr. Look on with Danville Schools.
Rhonda, next on the list.
Thank you for giving me 3 minutes. My name is Rhonda Caldwell, and I'm a longtime supporter of this school district for more years now than I care to admit. Early in my career, I was an employee of this school district, and today I'm still the parent of 2 students who spent their entire K-12 careers here and graduated, luckily, from Danville High School. I'm also the spouse of a 1970 graduate, and now I have a 5-month-old granddaughter who will someday, 4 or 5 years, be a student at this school district. My heart and my passion remain with this school district, in spite of the fact that I work with all of our districts in the state of Kentucky and 3,200 of our school leaders. My experience and my work shows me each day what a successful, high-achieving district looks like. What I know, this only occurs when the district's top leader is exemplary and effective. I'm here tonight to say thank you for placing Dr. Look's contract on the agenda, and I'm here to voice my support for him and request that you, as my elected board members, recognize him and renew his contract for 4 years, as is customary. The Danville School District has always been a pillar in this community, and it's important that that pillar be a shining star, a center for whole child development and learning from birth to graduation. Dr. Look has proven himself time and time again. He is an exemplary leader who is steadfastly focused on all of our students, not just some. Also, outside of this school district, if you're not aware, he is recognized statewide and even nationally as a brilliant and an innovative leader. There is much I can point out to support this. You've seen much of it tonight. You read about it in many, many places. And just example after example, but I'm going to limit myself to 3. Dr. Look is strongly supported here by the administrative team, the teachers, the classified staff, the students, and the community members. The evidence for this would be the letters you've received, the public comments made at board meetings, as well as the private comments shared with you in individual meetings, newspaper articles, and many more. But most importantly, this shows up in the healthy, productive climate that we enjoy here in our community when it comes to this school system. The many success stories and the volume of accomplishments that exist community-wide that impacts every single stakeholder in this town. The second thing would be the financial health of the district. When considering the district's financial status 4 years ago versus July 2017 and the carry-forward balance, there's no question the district is better positioned today with a solid plan to provide a high-quality education to all of our children, not just some. This is evidenced through fund balances, district facilities, expanded student services, extracurricular activities, academic offerings, and the right opportunities for all of our students. The third thing is the realignment of the preschool and elementary education center. Realignment was presented to this community in the 1990s. It was quite ugly, and it was rejected. The Danville Education Center is long overdue. The center, along with realignment of grade levels and redesign, use of the new facilities will bring our very best to the students here in our community. Again, these are only a few examples. But most importantly, as I start to close, I want to say that Dr. Look understands the definition of leadership. Not everyone does. He leads by example. He inspires vision for what each student can achieve and aspire to be. But most importantly, he shows us a clear path how to get there. When being congratulated or thanked for his leadership, I often hear Dr. Look quickly give public recognition to you as a board, the administrative team, the teachers, or the students. While this recognition is appropriate, at the end of the day, a district's success or not depends on the top leader. Based on the evidence, Danville has rightfully reassumed its place of prominence in this community. However, there's much on the line for Danville, for us as a community, the next 4 years. The stakes are very high. Dr. Look's leadership is vital for our success to continue to carry out the plan. Tonight, you have a golden opportunity to publicly recognize Dr. Look and his great work, but most importantly, renew his contract. And I urge you to do so. And I appreciate your time.
Norman.
Hello. Hello. I'm sure that some of you all remember who I am. And what I've come here to say is, I hear all the support for Dr. Look, but have your kids had dislocated arms? Spit in the face, punched in the face? Have your children had a principal call the resource officer to bully and threaten my child? Have them in tears? Guess not. Guess I'm the only one. So why are my children being targeted? I have no clue. I've begged and pleaded, not for just this year or last year. I mean, this has been ongoing. And all I ever hear from him is, I hear your concerns. Believe me, it's all on recording. He knows and everybody else knows that if you come into a meeting with me, I record. Why? Because therefore, there's no mistakes. You can't go back and sit there and say, oh, I never said that. Or twist words. I don't need to twist anybody's words. You had my 11-year-old daughter petrified of a police officer who is there to protect her. And it was not his fault by any means, because he actually didn't know what was going on. He was just as surprised when he walked into that building. And now you have Chromebooks that you have a principal who has been aware of. Kids get on these Chromebooks, and not once this school year has I gotten a paper stating what is appropriate and what's not appropriate on these Chromebooks. But what you all may find is inappropriate, I find okay. So a zombie shooting game, for me, it's a zombie shooting game and means nothing. But when the school says, okay, it's not, you punish appropriately. But when you don't punish appropriately and then you don't fix the problem and the kids are still able to get onto those games, and it's just not my child, it's a lot of children, why isn't the school being held responsible? Why isn't it that the school is actually fixing this problem? You want to punish these children, especially to the fullest extent. We all know. And we love to bully my children. I mean, if you all would love to listen to any of my recordings, you're more than welcome to. I just want to know when my children are actually going to come first. Because I've heard that, you know, all these school shootings and everything else. You want to sit there and make a statement of all means all. And at one point, my daughter's picture was up there. All does not mean all if you're going to use the resource officer to try to scare and intimidate my daughter. Suspend her. Don't do anything to the other child. No, you let that child go home, get off the school bus and everything. You turn the school bus all the way around for just my child. But there was 2 students involved. And yet my daughter has been kicked in the back of the head, spit in the face, punched in the face. All of these things. And yet you all think he does a good job? I mean, I'd like to know where you all think that Robin does a good job. I don't find it okay or fair to my children when they cry and they don't want to go to school because they don't feel safe. And that was your all's, what was it, your message? That you want every kid to feel safe in school, except for my kid doesn't. And he has voiced it. Not to me, to somebody at the school.
Ms. Norman, you have actually allotted your 3 minutes for this meeting. So if you would like to address this at a different time, you're more than welcome to do that. Thank you.
I have gotten texts from some folks that because of all the chaos in the back of the room, were not able to sign up. Oh, actually, I apologize. There was one more. Kay Anderson, did you still want to address the board? Sure. But I do want to let, if you were here at the beginning of the meeting and were not able to sign in and want to speak, we want to give everyone that was here at the beginning of the meeting but could not get to the table because of all the students and all the folks. If you will please let Teresa know right here if you'd like to speak. And again, these are for folks that were here at the beginning of the meeting that could not find the sheet. We will allow you to do that because I know we've had a lot of people here tonight. So.
Hello,
Sorry.
I'm Kay Anderson. Some of you may not know me. I am a parent, and now I no longer I'm an empty nester because both of my girls have graduated from Danville High School and went to Bate. And for years I served on Bate's Site-Based Council and also Danville High School's council. I've worked with Keith at least the 3 years of his tenure. I guess that's unfair because I'm not there this year. So 2 of his 3 years. And I can tell you, I appreciate so much all the passion by the stakeholders here, mainly teachers and I guess some community members, maybe a parent. I don't have that. I have as much passion. I don't have that same view that you do. Our scores in the district, unlike, I've forgotten what you quoted, but they are the worst that they've been in the district. Our outliers that have been stars in this district, excellent teachers, excellent coaches, have left the district under Keith's tenure. I'm not going to name names, but we know who they are. I personally have served on a site base for principal selection where I, as a member of the site base, felt bullied by Keith. And it's hard to bully me because I'm fairly, difficult possibly too. But in that respect, I think several of us felt bullied in that capacity. I think it's easy to come forward and be supportive. It's difficult to come forward and draw a negative line in the sand because it polarizes us as a district, and we don't want to be polarized. We want what's best for Danville, but it's not right if I don't mention to you, you had a stand of people in support. I guarantee you that are that many or more here tonight against. So keep that in mind, board, because it's not just because people aren't coming forward, perhaps they don't feel comfortable being negative in the eyes of the newspaper, of the district, and I think generally and genuinely, all of us want what's best for the district. So it's easier to be supportive. But there are plenty of us, not any offense to Keith, who just don't think this is the direction that we should go. Thank you.
Eric Moore.
Sorry. Well, good evening. I say to say it's been an interesting evening so far. I apologize, I wrote this as a letter I was going to email to you all, but I decided it would probably be better to come and say it face to face. I will say though, in response to the last person speaking, it would have been easier for me to stay at home tonight with my wife and dogs and not come up here. I have terrible anxiety and to speak in public. This isn't a great personal risk to me, but I care that much about Dr. Look leading our school district, so that's why I wanted to come and speak. I'm writing this letter for one specific reason. I want my name on public record as someone who supports the policies and leadership of Dr. Look, and I'm someone who believes the school district should renew his contract. A few board members may believe change at the top is necessary for the continued growth and progress of Danville schools. After all, board members are well within their rights as elected officials to make decisions they deem in the best interest of the school district they represent, regardless of the popularity of those decisions among the district staff and faculty. However, I would urge caution to the board as they seriously consider bringing in a new superintendent during such an important transitional time. It is easy to think that the grass will be greener or the relationships among the board will improve as a new hand takes hold of the wheel. But change is not always progress. I plead with the members of the school board to take a long, introspective look into the individual reasons lurking beneath the surface as debate opens up concerning Dr. Look's contract renewal. Reason and logic, not personal feelings nor outside counsel, should be the guiding force for the board as they contemplate Dr. Look's contractual status. With respect, please take my message to heart. Board members, please open your minds and see and hear all those who support Dr. Look. In closing, I simply want to say that I am proud to work under Dr. Look's leadership, and I would like to continue to do so. I hope the board agrees. Thank you.
The next person is Rhonda Harmon.
I'm Rhonda Harmon. I'm the daughter of a sophomore and of a 2012 graduate. And I also work in education for a living. I was a teacher at Woodlawn many years ago and have worked for the School Council Association since then. I've been in education for 30, no, I can't be right. No, 25, it's almost 28 years, I guess. So that's a long time. I don't like to create conflict. I know everybody, I was a teacher, I know that everybody has their passion for the way they see things. I just feel like would be remiss if I didn't give another perspective. And also to remind everybody that the board really is supposed to represent the community. Now, I know that a lot of teachers and parents and teachers and principals are in the community, but just to have them to remind you all, everybody, that they may have a hard time when there's a division like that. So I want to first start off by saying there's no facts to back up that the district has improved. The distinguished category, that was based on us scoring more points for getting kids out of novice. But the one number that I remember specifically is that 8.7% of our African American high school students are proficient in math. 8.7. When Dr. Look started his first year, it was 8.3. I don't think we would consider that a huge gain to go from 0.4. Danville is under the state average. And I'm going to focus on reading and math because one, didn't plan to do this. I just saw the need. And two, those are the things I have memorized for my concern about the district and where it's going. Danville, for reading and math, in every elementary school, middle school, high school, Danville is above the state average in 2 categories. I don't think anybody here with the proud tradition of Danville thinks not even meeting the state average is excellence. So when people talk about excellence, I'm not sure what they're even talking about, except I think that's kind of a bill that gets sold that just perpetuates itself. And then another thing is that my daughter has a very diverse set of friends, socioeconomically, ethnically, and so as I have worried about this, I asked a group of 10 kids who represent everything that you can imagine, what's Dr. Look said to you? What's your conversation been? One of them, who's a football player, he said hi. Nice game. 5 boys, 5 girls. None of the girls had even been spoken to in all the years Dr. Look has been here. My daughter being one of those. I was surprised to hear that, actually. As a parent, there's nothing more important to me in a district this size that we have a superintendent who knows kids and cares about them in the same way that the teachers do, in the same way that the principals do. But I just especially felt called to make sure and say that this thing about excellence, you all can look it up on this. Everything I'm saying is from the Department of Education website. There is nothing to back that up. Nothing to back that up. We only went up in Tolliver reading and somebody else's math overall. That's all since last year. Now, the high school would have been classified distinguished if the department used the same categories as last year. But again, that's only because we scored points in the gap in a gap score, not because kids really improved. The numbers improved to meet standards, improved to meet state standards. So again, I don't want to make anybody mad, but I love the district. I love the kids here as much as anybody. So I hope that you all can respect my right to say that I see a very different picture. And I started with Dr. Look thinking it was going to be great. We were going to be innovative. We were going to keep up all the news. Where people were like getting excited about Danville. Boyle County was worried about us. Now I have friends that teach at Boyle County. They're like, they laugh. They think we are no competition.
Who cares?
Well, you can say who cares. And really, you know, it's really, nobody interrupted you all while I was speaking, while you were speaking, you know. That's really not okay. And people who care are the ones who send their kids to school. And so I just want to finish by, please look up the numbers and see how poorly students are performing. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about basic reading and math, proficiency skills, meeting state standards. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Rhonda. The next person is like Brooks Evans.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brooks Evans. I'm the stepfather of Danica Lopez and Luca Lopez. And I'm going to be brief, but I just want to let you guys know that I love this community. Ever since I moved here, this community has been a loving and caring community. And I just want to be critical of some certain points. My stepson was suspended for having a picture of an artist or some type of actor on his Chromebook, and I understand that it's misuse of school property. However, he was suspended for 2 days for a picture of someone having a gun. With that being said, in the same classroom, one of his classmates was wielding a pocket knife, and that person was not suspended, wasn't even written up, and I believe that that person was, for the most part, nobody believed that he done anything wrong to bring a pocket knife into the school. And that's just one thing. But like I said, that's one thing that we should be conscious of, is the security of the students. I don't think it was fair to suspend that young man for 2 days just for having a picture of an actor of some sort and on this Chromebook. And he does need to be talked to about that, and what I understand is that a lot of kids were doing that, and we didn't get any policy on what was wrong, what was right about that. And I think that we should have something written down, concrete, and the kids actually didn't know. They don't know what's right and what's wrong, what to post on those computers. We want them to have fun, but we also want them to take care of business while they're in school. And just because they make a mistake, I don't think it's a reason for them to be put out of school for 2 days. And it's very important that they stay in school. He has a good attendance record, and we want him to keep pushing forward in this community. I mean, I love this school and I love this community, and I think that's it.
Thank you very much. And the last person I have to address the board is DeMarco Pruitt.
You have to excuse my voice, I'm a little hoarse. But basically what I had to say was, I've met with Dr. Look several different times, 2 different times on 2 different issues. One of the issues that I really has been on my heart ever since day one was a teacher at Danville High School, the very first day of school, who addressed the classroom and said, before we get started, I'm going to let you guys know there is no God. I mean, that's the very first thing that came out of the teacher's mouth. So me and my wife, we went to Dr. Look and addressed that with him. And the thing that he said to me that stuck with me forever was, he has the right to say that. I said, really? He's like, yes, he has the right to say that. I said, so is it okay for a teacher to say that there is a God? No answer. The answer back to me was, so should we tell every teacher that wears a cross on a necklace that they can't wear a cross on a necklace to reflect for Christ? That's the one thing that I always remember. And then the whole entire time that we talked, it was always, I mean, I would talk for 2 or 3 minutes straight. And then at the end of when I got through speaking, he would always say, is that all you have? Is that all you have? I'm like, no feedback at all. 2 separate times. And the other thing that I have to say is, we say all means all, but I've got a call from 10 people over the past week. We've had several, and I like everyone that was chosen for these assistant principal jobs and counselor jobs. Every one of them top notch. So didn't go wrong with the choices, but there were several candidates that didn't even get an opportunity, African Americans, that's been in the school district for from 10 to 15 years, that didn't even get an interview and still haven't even got a reply back on why they didn't get an interview. I mean, I think we owe it to those teachers, staff members, an explanation on why they didn't get an interview. And for me to say all means all, that's not correct. There's only maybe 2 full-time black teachers, African-American teachers at the high school. There's no principals, there's no assistant principals, there's no counselors. These are who our kids look at. I mean, it's a very diverse school. I'm not saying we shouldn't have white people, Hispanic people in these jobs, but I think we got to have people that our kids can look at and reflect at and say, hey, I can be in this position one time. I mean, one time in my life, I can achieve this. We don't have that here at Danville. With all the diversity we have no African Americans, and we've had several good candidates, and I'll name them. I know they may not like it. Coach Little is one that should have been a principal here years ago. Wade Stanfield should have been a principal here years ago. But, as people say, they got ran off. And it's been a whole lot of people that's been ran off. And I don't know if it's Dr. Look or principals. Well, we can't say it's principals because we've not been very consistent in principals at Danville High School. My daughter went here for 4 years. She had 5 different principals. 5 different principals in 4 years. Luckily, we have stabilized that. We got someone in place. We got Miss Ralston, who's been an excellent principal for our school. And we also, at Bate Middle School, we're lucky to have Miss Satterley as well. So nothing's wrong with those principals. I think we got a good foundation. We just needed to continue to build on it. But when we say all means all, that's not correct. That's not what Danville's doing right now at this time. Not at all. And I just think going forward, we do need to give these people who applied for those positions an explanation on why they didn't get one and what they need to do in order to be able to get an interview. I mean, and also, this will be the last thing, I don't want to be a spokesman for everybody, but just like Kay said, and someone else said it, several teachers from all schools I have talked to that are thinking, since the emails are coming out through the school system, go to the board, speak on Dr. Look's behalf on keeping renewing his contract. They're thinking if they don't show up, it's going to be held against them if it is. So we just got to make sure that that's not the case if his contract is renewed. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it was several teachers in these positions that think the same thing. And people said to me, I wouldn't go and speak. You're a basketball coach at the high school and Bate Middle School. But I got to feel what I know's right, and I'm going to speak my mind regardless. But to everyone, that's just how I feel, and that's just what I've had with Dr. Luck over the last 4 years. I've only spoke with him twice, and when I see him, he doesn't speak to me. And if you go ask any of the kids in our school district that I know, they don't even know who Dr. Luck is. That's all I got.
At this time, we will move on to number 9 on the agenda. Obviously, I do not have to say that we are not aware that Dr. Luck's contract is going to expire at the end of June. As a board, we have spent the last few months hearing not only from teachers and staff, but also parents, community members, and even students. Many of you have reached out via email. Some have spoken at board meetings. We've also received many phone calls, and I want to say many phone calls, from those that weren't comfortable sharing their thoughts in public. To all stakeholders, to those that live in this district, that work here, that live here, that send your kids here, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I hope that you can appreciate and understand that this is not an easy decision. One thing I want to make very, very clear is this decision is not made lightly. There are many factors that play into such a decision, and sometimes these decisions are not popular. However, at the end of the day, I know that I have taken all the facts into consideration, and I will make the best informed decision that I can. As a district, we are making improvements in some areas, and we appreciate Dr. Luck for his leadership. Dr. Luck, along with his leadership team, has carried out the plan for the elementary redesign that was laid out by the previous board and administration. He has also established a great team to lead our schools in the years to come. However, when looking at the overall vision, mission, and future of the school district, I have concerns as to whether he is the best fit for Danville schools. So at this time, I am making a motion to declare a vacancy for the superintendent's position as of July 1st, 2018. Second. At this time, I will allow any discussion amongst our board members. Everyone has a chance to pass along their thoughts and comments at this time. I just have a few comments, and I did prepare a statement just so I wouldn't fumble through my words. Like Paige said, over the past several months, board members have had a great deal of communications with many key stakeholders in our district, including members of administration, certified and non-certified staff, as well as taxpayers, members of the business community, parents, and even individuals outside of our school district regarding the performance of Dr. Luck. This feedback has been both positive and negative. I feel I have taken all of these opinions into account and want to make sure that I'm being respectful to and am speaking for the constituents for whom I was elected to represent for our school district. I too recognize the many strengths which Dr. Luck brings to the table in his day-to-day work and in his leadership skills. I further recognize the critical timing of this contract discussion in regard to the upcoming elementary transition which we are facing in just a few months. However, I do feel that there are still concerns regarding other matters of his performance that I do not feel are consistent with us moving forward as a district as a whole.
I think I'll interject at this point. most of the successes that Dr. Luke has done, he's done on his own. As a board, we can't take credit for all this. As a board, though, we can take the blame on a lot of the misgivings that are going on with Dr. Luke, because we've never been really clear with him. As a group of folks that had expectations, a vision, a mission, and when you don't communicate with the main partner, he didn't fail, we failed. And this isn't the only board that has failed him. It was the previous board that did the same thing. So I'm not quite sure how we can justify letting the man go and not leading this district when we failed as a group of individuals. People do not fail in their jobs by themselves. That's a proven fact in any business. If you don't offer assistance, confidence, and help for that person to succeed, we failed. Now, I do think we have an opportunity here to steer this ship where we need to go, and I think we're getting there. Are we there? No. Do we still need to make improvements? Well, yes. Does Dr. Luke need to have a plan of growth? It'd be nice if he did. He's not had one in 3 years. So I'm not real sure how we as a board can just simply say it's his fault. I'm willing to take part of the blame. I didn't insist on those things happening, and I apologize for that. But that shouldn't cost a man his job. I also have been really amazed that we as a community try to say that we value people, that we want a diverse opportunity, that we want to put forth the best that we can. And this board hadn't put forth the best it can. And I apologize to you, Dr. Luke, because it's not fair. In fact, I'm ashamed. So I say to you all, no matter how this vote turns out, I take blame. I'll take the blame that he failed his job if you all think he failed his job. So I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity of getting to know that man. You know, he's not perfect. And he doesn't come off well to a lot of people. But some of that's just personality. And to be honest with you all, some of that we didn't even know, or I didn't know. And if I would have known, and as Keith knows, I'll be in his office, and we're going to have a talk. But when you don't know, you can't correct. Now that we might know some of the misgivings, we can correct. And we can do it as a partnership. And that's what counts. Thank you.
I'm prepared to statement as well. Last year, I was elected by this community to join this board, and as promised, I came in with an open mind. I had no agenda, just enthusiasm for my hometown. My #1 priority is to help our kids in district to be our best. I want our students to have the same opportunities I had as a Danville student. There's a steep learning curve to the school board, and I'm just starting to find my voice. I feel our board is a good team with different views, but we respect each other, and at the beginning of the year, I can honestly say we were all open-minded. Over the past year, I've watched Dr. Luke demonstrate many qualities that were admirable as superintendent. On the other hand, there were some that I'd hoped for more. Over the past year, I've carefully considered the opinions of countless teachers, administrators, and community members. I've tirelessly sought out and filtered the information to the best of my ability. I've also talked to Dr. Luke directly about my concerns. Reflected by those here tonight, what I've learned is there are many people whom I respect who have very different views on his leadership and the progress of his district. Based on this division of our community and my own experience, I think there are things that may not be able to be healed with more time.
I just want to say thank you for everyone coming. Thank you, everybody who supported Dr. Love, others that have different views. My thing is, I'm kind of leaning right there with Steve. Because I think in some instances, I've only been back on the board for a year. But I think in looking back, we have failed him. You know, we've got to set goals. We've got to have things in place so that he can succeed. When we bring anybody on, it doesn't matter, male, female, whoever it is, we need to set them up to succeed. And that's the whole community. We've got to start getting behind each other. We've got to stop pointing fingers and saying, this is your fault, your fault, your fault. We got to start coming together as a unit. I understand. He's got his flaws. We all do. We are not perfect in this world. The only one that was perfect in this world was Jesus Christ that walked this earth. That's it. And so we all got to come together, whether you want him here or not. Whoever we put in this position, he stays, he goes. We have got to get behind him. We have got to get behind him. We've got to stop. You know, we are a great school. We've always been a great school, but to the people on the outside, we look foolish. We look foolish. Because all they're looking at, they're not just looking at him, they're looking at us too. They're looking at us like, we just not together. Parents, teachers, all of us, we've got to come together as one. If we want this school to thrive, we've got to come together as one and support each other. Stop tearing each other down, because if that's all we're going to do, this school will never rise up. And I believe in this school. I'm an alumni, 1990 grad of this school. Been on this board for 8 years. I've seen a lot of good principals and everything. Hey, look, even when I was in school and all the accomplishments in track and in vocal that I did, I didn't know who the superintendent was. Had no clue. Never heard from the board either. Now, I'm not saying, that's what should happen. Yeah, I think, you should be able to recognize your students. Always recognize your students and what they do. Always be able to come up to them, just even if it's a little word or a letter, say, hey, good job at what you did. Thank you for being a student at our school. We appreciate you. But I think just, we need to come together. And in some instances, I think we have failed him. But that's my opinion. And I thank you for everything that you've done. Appreciate it.
I do want to make one comment in reference to Mr. Becker's comments, because I want to be clear that there was an evaluation given, and there were areas that needed improvement. There were areas that needed improvement over the last 2 years, and those areas were discussed with Dr. Luck. So I don't want everyone to just think that there was nothing done as far as any direction in areas that we expected growth and did not see it. So I do just want to make that clear at this time. So at this time, I'm going to reiterate the motion that's on the table that has been seconded, and we will do a roll call vote so that it is clear. So again, the motion that is on the table that has been seconded is that the motion is to declare a vacancy for the superintendent's position as of July 1st, 2018. Mr. Becker, we will start with you.
That's a no vote.
Is it yes?
Yes. Yes. So at this time, we will be declaring a vacancy for the superintendent's position.
Paige, when Dr. Coleman resigned, I think the school sought the council of KSBA for the search process, and you may want to talk to them to see if they'd be interested. They would make a presentation to the board as they did last time.
All right. All right, thank you. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Can't wait till election.